Good morning or afternoon, everyone from coast to coast. And thank you for attending today's webinar on PowerPoint tips and tricks. Today we're going to take a look at how to start PowerPoint quickly, organizing slides at a glance, how the outline tab helps out in getting the slide looking just right. So with that being said, I'd just like to share my desktop, and just please let me know if you're not able to see my desktop at this point. Just type it in. Alex will monitor that for me. By the way, my name is Mark Campbell. If I should add that. I've been training Microsoft products for almost 16 years. I've helped countless clients with different PowerPoint issues and making PowerPoint that sort of I guess, central way of standardizing and making communications look official, but also to the point where they're not boring. Standardization, I'm big on that, but also I think it can be pleasant as well and readable. Readable communication has to be effective and readable. So the first thing, how to start for PowerPoint quickly, just a couple of quick tips. So I'm going to click on the Start button here. And if one of my favorites is just type in PowerPoint and search. If I can type, and there we go. So PowerPoint comes up at the top. If I want that to be there all the time, I can just right-click here and tell it to pin to Start menu. So now, next time I go in, there it is. If I'm not partial to that, if I'm partial to shortcuts on the desktop, I can drag that with my. I'm using my right mouse button here. I just like to know that I can confirm or unconfirm when I let go that the thing I want to happen is exactly what I want to happen. So I'm going to select Create Shortcut here, and there's a shortcut on my desktop. And the last method I'm going to show you is simply go up here and right-click on the one that's pinned to your shortcut menu now, or your Start menu, and tell it to pin to Taskbar. The taskbar is at the bottom here. And that'll be there all the time. So it's in 3 spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up PowerPoint. So I'm going to click on it and Start bar. This by far is one of my favorites. Also, you can do this when PowerPoint is running. If you start a PowerPoint by some other method, you can always come down here, right-click, and tell it to pin to the taskbar. Or you can take it off by selecting Unpin this program from the taskbar right here. Right. So now I just want to go over a few of the ribbon commands. When I talk about ribbon, I'm talking about up here. By the way, if you double-click on any of these ribbon commands, what you'll find is it minimizes it, and now it treats it like a menu. See that? You click and select it, and you select something, and it goes away. I always love that, but people do this by mistake, and they panic. No need to panic. Just double-click, and it comes back. So the ones we will be using today, we're going to be using the Home tab. And we'll be using a couple commands in the clipboard group, a couple commands in the slide group, especially you have a new slide button here. This button is kind of a little deceptive. There are 2 parts to it. Default slide, new slide, and a new slide by layout. If you click on drop down, it allows you to choose a layout. And these are the selected layouts here. All your formatting features for font, paragraph, and drawing. We'll also be using the Insert tab. If I click on the Insert tab, and we'll be inserting things like clip art. So if you want to insert a clip art, here's clip art, and then we type in what we want. I'm sure you've used this before. And there we go. And next, Smartart. We'll be using Smartart as well. Also, we'll be using the themes. Just a quick thing on themes. Themes allow you to make your presentation look professional without doing very much work. So these themes have been designed by artists and professionals. So feel free to make use of them. You can modify them too as well. I've got one here that it's not your standard theme, but I thought it would be helpful to use it for this class. Some of the other themes, and as you hover your pointer over them, they change what you see in your screen. And they change it dramatically. A word of caution here, if you choose a theme and then change your slide, what you may find is then if you choose one of these radical themes that puts your titles at an angle or something like that, then nothing may work. So if you're going to change your titles and you're going to play with them, you're going to make them your own, then what I suggest is that you choose a theme early. It doesn't prevent you from choosing a different theme when you're done. But it's certainly a lot more efficient to choose it early. Let me just take a second here. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. And I'm just going to take a look. Have we got any issues? No, we seem to be okay. All right. So back to PowerPoint and our themes. So when you choose a theme, you need to think of your audience. If you're going to be in a dark room, then possibly a dark background is not such a good idea. Also think about your subject matter. This kind of 1920s silent movie theme may not be the best thing for dealing with upcoming budgets. But then again, I don't know your company. You know your company. So you find one of these that works. For this particular section, I'm going to use this. This is a custom theme, by the way. We can talk about that a little bit. Oh, before I do that, I want to talk to you about something called Slide Master. And I'm going to come back to it 2 or 3 times, only because it's important. So I'm going to click away from that. I'm going to go to View. Let's take a look at our View tab here. And these are our different views. This is a normal view where you see a thumbnail of the slide and then the slide on the right. Slide sorter view, if you've got a lot of slides, this is the way to go to manipulate and view and work with your slides. Notes pages, you can put notes for each slide and then print these off for yourself to see, follow along as you're viewing your presentation. And then this rarely used one, Slide Master. When you go in here, this is where you can control all your slides. Now, I'm not going to go into it. We can have another, if this is something you want to see more of, please put that in your survey. There are lessons we can develop that deal with the Slide Master, and Slide Master is not enough people know about it. If you get presentations from other people, they likely will have played with the Slide Master, so you need to know what this is. So what this does, this is kind of like your master control over all your placeholders. Your placeholders are the kind of default text boxes that are there. So when you change them, sometimes if you change the text, you're kind of opting out of this kind of ultimate control that you can have over like 100 slides by doing things with a Slide Master. Later on, you're going to see that when we put a graphic here, it can appear on all the slides. And that's one of the reasons I tell you about this, because if you're dealing with a graphic or a trademark or a logo or something and you can't seem to get at it, it may be because it's on the Slide Master. Again, I'm going to limit how much I talk about that, but you need to know. So if you go in here by accident to get out, simply close Master View. And I'm going to change, I'm back in Notes Page View, so I'm going to go back to normal view. 3 of those buttons are down here too as well. Normal, Slide Sorter, and this last one is Slideshow. You see the Slideshow as it's going to look. Escape out of there. So I'm going to choose a theme now. I'm going to go to Design, and I'm going to choose that custom theme that I mentioned before. Right here. And when I choose it, it comes in with its own default text box. All right, so I can begin to work with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in this placeholder, just click the add title. That just disappears as soon as I start typing in there. If I were to view my slide, you see that there's nothing there. So I'm going to click the add title there. I'm going to type in the world of coffee. And because I'm going to opt to customize this placeholder, even though any customization I do, remember, it kind of opts out of that overall absolute control of all your placeholders from the slide master. There's sometimes you want to do that. And one of the reasons is I'm going to put other objects on here, and I want to be able to select my placeholder easily. So I'm going to minimize the placeholder so that it's not taking up all this room. So I'm going to just shrink it down. So to do that, I'm going to just select that sizing handle at the top. And there I go. And I'm going to do that with a subtitle. We'll call it the subtitle Socially Acceptable Drug. And again, I'm going to shrink that down too, again, just because of I want to be able to access this when I put other objects on the screen. So I've got the world of coffee, socially acceptable drug. That's all right, but I wanted to kind of blend a little bit more with what's there. So I'm going to take this title and I'm going to just tilt it. By the way, here's a good tip on being able to select any placeholder. If you can't, so to select and drag it or move it, I want to select the border because you see that dashed border there. I want it to be solid, right? That tells me I've got it selected. Clicking right in it and then pressing escape is one really, really simple way of selecting it. Then once it's selected, I can move it with the arrow keys, and then I can use the format toolbar. Oh, I should mention, you see this format toolbar popping up there? That's called a contextual tab. That's all over 2010 and 2007. The tab only pops up with these commands if you need it. Drawing tools format is not needed if I click on a background. I can't use any of those tools. So it's kind of like bouncers in really popular nightclubs. They're there. You only see them if you cause trouble. Okay, so I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm just going to tilt this. So I'm going to go up to the top here. I'm just going to tilt this. I'm going to move this down close. Right. Again, these actions, what I'm doing, they will opt out of the positioning of these placeholders. So I'm going to I want to go ahead because I want it to look a certain way. And I'm going to reduce the font size. Again, reducing the font size means I can't control the font size from the slide master, but this is the title. So in this case, I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to take the sacrifice. That's a little better, and then I'm going to move this down as well. So if I click on that, I can drag it down. If I want to position it now a little bit easier, I can use my down arrow keys or my up or right arrow key, and I'm going to shrink this placeholder because I'm putting it beside another one. I want to make it easier to select, and I'm just going to, and if I want to just do it just by increments, I can hold down the control key and use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move that. And I'm going to reduce the font size there. Right. So, and I want to add a couple more things to this. Before I do, I want to talk about just inserting items on here. So I'm going to go and insert, let's see if we've got any clip art. Okay, so we've got a coffee cup there. Anytime you're dealing with graphics like this, what you'll find is that you can size them using the quarter size handle. So the aspect ratio, that just means height to width ratio is protected, so it's not overly stretched, that type of thing. Just going to undo that. So I'm going to shrink this down. And I want this now I want things to line up just so. So I'm going to go to the View tab once more. I'm going to turn the grid lines off. I'm going to go to View and Grid Lines. And so the grid lines help me then to line up these things to exactly where I want. And again, you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. There are other things you can do here as well. And now I want more than one. I want 6 of them. So I'm going to, a couple of things you can do. You can copy and paste. But my favorite thing to do here is to just drag with a control key. So I'm going to hold down a control key and just drag. So as long as I'm holding down the control key, I'm copying. See what I did there? I didn't want to do that, but that is something, that is a cool thing. I got to show you that. If I want to select more than one, I hold down control, I can select and group. And so now, if I want to do 1 million of these, or that's an exaggeration. And I've told people 1,000 times, that's an exaggeration. Okay, so the thing to do here, after you select it, if you hold down control and then drag, you can replicate all the numbers you have over and over again. So I'm just going to undo that. And I've used that trick, and it's such an invaluable tool. You can create 1,000 little dots in less than a minute doing that. Okay, let's put a couple more here. And so the grid helps me to kind of line things up. I could zoom in and you know, just make sure everything is just so, but that's enough for now. I don't want to spend too much time on it. We only have so much time. So I'm going to zoom out using the zoom bar on the bottom there. And so I want to make this look a little bit more like, this one's just a little too high. I'm just going to drag him down just a bit until he's lined up with the other one. Okay, that's good. A little bit of a perfectionist, aren't I? Right. So at this point, I want these now to appear kind of like that dark color there. So I'm going to select them. I could click using control, but this is another trick that I showed you before. Just dragging around. Anything that it completely surrounds this marquee. And the trick here is not to start by selecting one. You want to start away from it. So I'm going to start here and drag. So I'm trying not to get that one on top there, but I got it anyways. But I can get it out of the group by holding down control and clicking. It's out of the group now. So now I have these pre-selected. I'm going to go to Format. And I'm going to go to the left-hand side here. Again, Format Picture Tools came up and I have these selected. I'm going to go with the color. And I'm going to choose a color that kind of better reflects that color there at the bottom. And I think that's pretty close. I'm going to do the same thing with these at the top. So again, for these two that are partially selected, it doesn't matter. It's only the ones that are completely surrounded by the marquee that will be selected. I could use control to do that, but as you can see, that's much, much quicker. And there we go. And now I'm going to select them all and move them up to the top. It's not quite there yet, but I'm just going to hold down a control key and use my arrow keys to nudge them into position. If that's something that I'm going to leave that way all the time, I can even group. So if I select these, I can right click and tell it to group. Oh. I didn't include one of them. That's fine. So now I can move them as a group. And you can also select individuals within the group if they are a little unruly. Oh. And again, let me move this up. And so now I'm going to use my arrow keys to move this up and arrow keys to move it over. And when I get close, I'm just going to hold on to Control key so I can measure that. I'll turn off my grid lines and have a look at what I've got. And there I go. Okay, there's one or two things I could do with that. I'm just going to leave it right there, demonstrate at the point. So I'm going to go now to design once more. So when I go to design, so this is what I'm saying about choosing your theme. If you're going to be moving it and moving it around, as you see there, that just doesn't work with that theme. So anytime you start moving things around, hey, that one's not too bad. This is what you're kind of in for. And by the way, let's take a look at the Slide Master again, View. And Slide Master, you see now, when you change a theme, you actually change the Slide Master. Close out of there once more. So again, our placeholders allow us to type information in, but also they're tied in. Let me close out a clip. They allow you to move that text around. It was once told to me that they're kind of like notes on a bulletin board, and that's what they can be. But remember that they're tied into the Slide Master as well. With that turned off, we've inserted our clip art. We've copied the clip art, resized it. Let's take a look at using the outline tab now. So the idea with the outline tab, let's click on it. So I'm going to click on the outline tab. It shows me my slide and my text, no graphics, but this is such a cool way to create a slide that you don't know what you want to do yet. Let me rephrase that. We've got some headings, we've got some titles, we need a structure to work in. So we don't want to be clicking on new slide and creating slides like that and click on a button. We like to just type. So that's what this allows you to do. You can also paste a list in here and do some of the things I'm going to do. So I'm going to click at the end of the socially acceptable drug, and I'm just going to press enter. When I press enter, it seems to create something at the same level as a socially acceptable drug, which is a subtitle. But I'm going to right click there. I'm going to tell it to promote. So now it promotes it to a slide. So now I have two slides. And now I'm going to type in a couple other things here. I'm going to type in the Africa connection. And now I want a couple of subtitles on the other side. So I'm just going to press tab. I'm going to press enter. So let me back up because what I said there may have confused. Pressing enter creates a new item. promote or demoting it makes it either a slide or something like a point on that slide. So I'm going to press enter. It becomes a slide, but I don't want that. I want it to be a point on that slide, so I'm going to demote. So demoting, a shortcut to that is Tab. Promoting, a shortcut is Shift Tab. So that's what I'm going to use from this point on. I'm going to use the shortcut. So my friend at Salama, Ethiopia, here in China, told me that coffee originated in Ethiopia. You can look it up. I don't know if he's lying or not, but I'm going to type it in here. But I know it's used extensively in Egypt. Right, and now I want to talk about something else. So I want a new slide, so it's just enter. A new anything is enter. So I'm going to press enter. I've got a new something, but it's a point on the slide. So I want to promote it, which I can right-click or promote, or just Shift Tab, and that promotes it. And I'm going to type in a South American connection. And now I want a sub point. I'm just going to hit enter. Creates a new item, tab. Remember, I can right click to demote it, but if I just hit tab, it demotes it as well. And I'm going to put in the emergence of Colombia. We can forget those commercials. The Carter Montel ban. Did I say that right? Doesn't really matter. Emergence of Colombia and the branding of the bean. Speaking of branding, we have a couple of things that I want to talk about with branding. So I'm just going to hit enter here, create another new slide, and Shift Tab. And we'll talk about Tim Hortons. Right? I see those lineups every morning, and I just don't know. I think they put something in the coffee. It just can't be just coffee alone. I want to talk about those sub points. I'm going to hit enter and then tab again. And special ingredient. Outstanding branding. And I'm going to press enter. So I have some other slides to do, but I don't know what exactly I want to say. So they're just going to be headings. So I spent probably about 3 or 4 minutes creating this presentation. And each one of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, is a new slide that's being created just by hitting enter. So I'm going to hit enter here, and then Shift Tab to promote it. And then I'm just going to type in now social. What's the proper word for that? Social responsibility, yeah. And, okay, let's talk about, energy drinks. That's a good one, energy drinks. With guaranara in them. And social acceptability. I never get that word right. So it's wonderful here that with just using Tab and Shift Tab, I've managed to create a presentation. Some of them have subheadings, some have just the title. That's fine. I now have structure that I can work with. I can still click in here and type, but I don't have to. You like my picture there? Here's an idea of now what's going on. I decide I don't like that picture. I click on it to change it and delete it, and it doesn't respond. Any ideas? Where is that picture? So I'm going to show you where that picture exists. So I scroll up. You notice it's not on the title slide. The title slide is kind of like having, in Word, how you can make the title page a little different than the rest. The title slide is kind of like that. So I'm going to go and take a look now at where this exists. Let me just stop sharing for a second here. So did anybody respond to that? Let's see. Okay. So let me reshare this. I hope everyone is able to get this. I just noticed a flurry of messages in there, and I don't have time to go through them all. I have to excuse me. I'm gonna push on. I'm gonna address that a little bit later on because I've got about 10 minutes left. So bear with me. Right. So we have. I'm trying to get a hold of that picture, but it's not. So I'm going to go to the Slide Master. I'm going to go to View and Slide Master. And I can see that picture on these, but this, just a quick description here, this is the, like if you like, the big kahuna Slide Master, and these are the layout masters that are kind of like the master of all the layouts that are kind of built like this. So this is a title, and this is a title and content. It tells me this is used by slides 2 to 7. This is just used by slide 1. The picture itself is on this one, which propagates down to all of these except the title slide. And if I click on that one, there's a picture. I decide I don't like that picture. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to insert another picture. I'm going to go to Insert Clip Art. Because this one is just like a crazed woman. And for most people, you know, coffee can make you feel like that. For most people, it makes us feel a little bit more pleasant. I think this young woman kind of represents that. She feels pleasant when she drinks coffee. She treats people pleasantly. The picture of her without coffee might be a different story. See how wide that is? I'm going to go to Picture Tools format here, just for a second. A useful tool is this cropping tool. So I'm going to click on Crop. I'm just going to shrink that down on that side. Click away. Now this is more manageable. Right, and then when I close out of my master view, there I have it, nothing on the title slide, but that picture has been changed for all of that. So now let's, when I look at this, there's kind of continuity there. I've got information on all my slides. I mean, the theme is there, the same throughout. But there seems to be a little bit of a disjunctive thinking here in the organization. I've got Africa, South America, and Tim Hortons, and social responsibility and energy drink. Energy drink kind of belongs with Tim Hortons. Social responsibility maybe down here. And I want to be able to move these things around. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to show you how to best move these things around and manage them. So one simple way is just to click and drag. You can do that right here. You can click on one of these and drag it. You see that line that forms there? I can drag this South American connection above Africa. But really, the African connection should probably go first. Now let me go. So if you've got about 80 slides, I've had presentations with over 100 slides, and organizing them this way is just too time consuming. So I go right away to slide sorter view. Again, it's down here. You can go view slide and slide sorter, but I'm going to go slide sorter view here. And then I'm going to decide to put energy drinks right after Tim Hortons. And so social responsibility, social acceptability, good. And I want to be able to have these sections that I can move around. So this is the beginning, that's fine. Africa and South America, they're regions. Tim Hortons and energy drinks, it's kind of like branding. And then social aspect are these two. So I want to create a section that I can group these by. So I'm going to go in between slide 1 and 2 and just right click and say add section. So there's an untitled section. I'm going to right click on it, tell it to rename it. I'm going to call this regions and rename. And then I'm going to go right after the South American connection and right click there and add section and rename that one. And I'm going to call that one branding. Rename that one. And I'm going to go down and add a section right before social responsibility. And I'm going to call it the social aspect. So if you have 100 slides in your presentation, it can quickly become unmanageable. You will be scrolling forever. Using this method, you reduce your scrolling time. You do this, you'll thank me, you'll be able to go on vacation. The kids will thank me. As a matter of fact, they should. But let's take a look at what this does. If I now want to work on the branding area alone, I can reduce the regions, I can reduce social, and I can just work on the slides in here. The default section, let me rename that too, and I'm just going to call it introduction. This introduction can involve more than one slide. And the brilliant thing about this, if I have a section now that I want to move to a different area, there is no easier way to do this. If I want to move the social section that might have 30 slides, I can just click it and drag it. And now that's moved 2 slides. And when you view this, I mean, it just saves you so much time. A couple of words about formatting a presentation. Again, if you want to change your theme, you can here, but be very, very careful. Remember that it can change a lot of things when you change your theme. Let me go up to slide 2, and I'm going to change text here. I'm going to select Ethiopia. I'm going to give it a font of Algerian and a color of the desert, kind of a deserty kind of color. There we go. And I'm going to give it italic. So when you look at something like that, you think, that's got a lot of formatting. I'm not quite sure what that formatting is, but it's got a lot of formatting. I want that on my Colombian slide. So what I can do, or I want that, say, on the word Egypt. First of all, I want it on Egypt. I click in Ethiopia, and I want to copy that format. So I go up to the left-hand area on the Home tab, and there's Format Painter. So I'm going to click on Format Painter. And what that does is it captures that formatting for me. And my pointer now becomes like a paintbrush. I take that paintbrush down, and I can click on Egypt. And it does all that formatting, and my paintbrush goes away, I'm back to that. I can make that same thing a little bit more persistent so that I can do more than one thing. So I'm going to capture what's in Egypt now. So I leave my insertion point there, click on Format Paint. And I'm going to go to the South American connection. And my pointer is still a paintbrush. Let me go back and do that again. So when I clicked on it once, I just want to reiterate, when I clicked on it once, as soon as I clicked on somewhere else, it went away, right? But here, I'm going to double click. That makes it persistent. So I'm going to go back, South American connection, click on Colombia, and it's still a paintbrush. And I'm going to click on South American B. And when I want this to go away, I can click on Format Painter again or just press Escape on the keyboard, and it goes away. So that is a Format Painter. One of the most underused tools. It's in Word, it's in Excel. Use it. Time saver. A wonderful tool. So with that, one other thing. Let's just talk about social responsibility. So I want to add something called a Smartart Graphic. Smartart is an excellent thing. Takes your normal lists and makes them into something that are a little bit more appealing to the eye. So this icon is a Smartart Graphic. I click on it. I'm going to select a process here. And I'm going to select basic process. Yeah, this one. And OK. So I have a text pane here and then graphics. So I'm going to type in fair pay for farmers. And then click on this next one. Slightly higher price. Again. And then that leads to social acceptance. And the branding people know this. Coffee is growing, and this is one of the reasons. So there you have it. This is just a great tool, Smartart, those graphics, and you can change them. I can quickly change them. I can change the color scheme. I can change individuals. I can change how they look. I can change it. And with that, that brings us to a close of our 45-minute presentation on PowerPoint tips and tricks. I hope you learned something today. I hope you can take this and make your presentation more impactful, more meaningful, more effective. Thanks again. I am Mark Campbell for CTC. And as I said before, if you succeed, we succeed. So let us know if you're succeeding. And please, you're going to be taken to an evaluation section. Let us know what we did well. With that, I'll bid you a good afternoon. Let me just... Oh, I noticed Jennifer wrote in, it's the master slide, and that was quite a while ago. Good for you, Jennifer. Well done. If I had a cigar, you would get it. And don't forget about the master slide. If you want to see lessons on mastering the slide master, please let CTC know, and we'll try and oblige. Again, have a great afternoon. Mark Campbell for CTC signing off. Thank you very much.